Back once again for the renegade master. 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 Back once again for the renegade master.
Hello my renegades, and welcome back. And what are we getting back into? We are getting back into Married at First Sight UK series 10. We are now on episode 2. Okay, but before we get into this episode, as I always ask, please hit that subscribe button, please hit that notification button so you know when I'm doing videos. Please comment, like, share and do the good things that you do, because I continue to be on the road to 1k. Right, after that being said, things got worse and we shall delve into it now. So we know Dean and Sarah got married, and David and Kia got married, yeah, so they're off to their honeymoons. So we're going to be looking at another 2 weddings coming through. So we first see Kia and David up in the morning, very intimate with one another, and it will appear, I will say on the face of it, they're getting very, 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 very close. They have an understanding of each other. They didn't have sex though, let's just put it this way. So they're in South Africa on their honeymoon, the motherland. I would love to go back to Africa. I am going to make it as part of my plan, yeah, that at some point I am going to visit some of these continents of Africa. I am going back to the motherland just to be able to experience it. So Kia, of course, is like an excited pet. Like, seriously, this boy gets overexcited and it can become quite loud and very, like, as David said, his energy level is on 100. All David could do was laugh and smile, but he knows how to bring him back down to earth if he needs to at the end of the day. So then we see Dean and Sarah. They're in the Maldives. They are in a stunning place. Dean is basically on a high, and he's got very high hopes that he and Sarah can get to know each other better. So Dean is basically all in. Sarah, not so much. Dean is hoping that they can start to become a little bit more tactile with each other, like with kissing and stuff like that. All I'm going to say for Dean is he's possibly wishing on a star when it comes to Sarah and her actually wanting to go all in with him. She's not being very open and honest with him right now at the end of the day, because she's still slapping a smile on it and thinking that's going to be able to put her through the process of the honeymoon and what's happening right now. But all she's doing is lulling Dean into false sense of security. She needs to be able to tell him where her head is at, basically, and do it in a nice way, not in a god-awful way. Do it in a nice way at the end of the day. Right now Sarah seems to be very engaging with Dean, but I don't know, it's very much mixed signals from her at the moment. I think from Dean's side, he's definitely going to be getting them mixed signals. She says she wants to settle down, like, you know, with the nicest guy in the world. She's got it in Dean. She's got the nice guy in droves in Dean, but she doesn't want him, as we all know, because Sarah is used to pretty people, yeah, with shitty insides. That's what she's used to. So she wants the nice person, but she wants it in the aesthetic that she's used to. And this is why her parent, her dad, her friends, everybody that knows her said, you need to come away from that. You need to give this man a chance. But she is not going to give this man a chance, because that's where her mind is set. She is disappointed she didn't get what she wanted at that altar. That's what it is. She's literally having a downfall, yeah, because Dean doesn't look like what she wanted him to look like. So she's literally letting everything else go in regards to getting to know this man properly, to the point of everything he does irks her. That's how it's coming across to me. Like, she's being very, very awful in that sense. So she says Dean has so many qualities that she wants, but then she harps on again of, like, you know, what she's used to, but she'll have to try and look past that. And if she can't, then my thing is you need to, like, cut things dead here. Then you need to, like, you know, be saying that you can't go through further with the experiment, because I don't see how you're going to make it work if you're not willing to at least give it a go. So then we see Grace, who's one of the new couples, and she's preparing to get married. She says she's an extrovert and has no filter, and that she's tightly strung. Let's just put it this way. I don't know what to tell you, but my spirit didn't take to her at all. Like, there was just something about her. I'm not saying that she's a bad person, because you know what, it's a TV program. Don't know her. You don't know what edits in or edits out at the end of the day. But she's just not my cup of tea. There's something about her that I just can't put my finger on her right now with her. But as I said, I will continue to see what happens. So she says she's a huge feminist and she's big into equality. I'm going to say there's just something too performative about Grace that's coming across, and that's my only first impressions of her at the moment. Her friend says that she is a loud, playful person, and it will basically take a special person to find out how she works, basically. First impressions, yeah, they ain't selling me on her. They're not selling me on Grace at all. So basically, Grace is talking about how she is a situationship queen. So it looks like she's dated a lot. Like, she's dated a lot, and she says that she was let down. So from that, I'm getting a hint of desperation from her to find her one, to be honest. She does get upset when she speaks to Mal about how she's the one that's been putting everything out there and then she gets nothing back, and how that's made her feel. She says she uses humour as a way to defend herself, basically, to get away from the negativity, because it's become her comfort blanket. But even in her humour, to me, it's quite, I don't know, it's how can I put this politely? It's like she's got a stick broke up her arse. Like, seriously has. And even in the humour, it's still quite wooden. It's not necessarily humour as in funny, ha. It's more necessarily as in, I'm covering up my anxiety and covering up my awkwardness, but I'm as sarcastic as can be. That's what that humour is. It ain't one you're like, I'll get to it when we get to the wedding, when she's cracking off jokes. Yeah, because she's so uncomfortable. But everybody's laughing, but it's not a laugh as if you'd say, oh, this is quite funny, or she's quite funny. It's kind of like, because it's coming one after the other, yeah, and there's no space, she's going. It's kind of like, are you okay? Is everything good? It's kind of that kind of humour, because they're like, does she normally do this? so yeah. So for Grace, I think her last resort is basically this show. She describes her man, and as she starts to describe her man, we get introduced to Ashley. So now we know Grace and Ashley is going to be paired with each other. So he's a bit of a country boy, and he's very much of one of those dirt quad biking, riding horses, getting dirty. He plays rugby. So he basically says that he needs a woman who can match his energy. I'm like, we'll see if that will be Grace, because I don't think it will be at the end of the day. So he works for his family company, which is like an offshore marine company, and he's from South Wales. And yes, it is quite true that most of we do not go for rugby lads, because there's a certain air about them that most women be like, yeah, I don't want a rugby lad, or I don't want a football lad, and da-da-da-da-da. He seems okay, to be fair, and down to earth. He says he grew up around strong women, so he has a bit of feminine energy. I thought, oh, with Grace being a feminist, then that may well work with Grace, but we'll see. We'll see as time goes on. So we meet his mum, Maxine, who she talks about Ashley and says that, you know, Ashley has high standards in his women. And then you see Ashley bragging about dating Miss Universe, and then it was at that point I was like, yeah, nah, mate. Just nah. He does have a son, and basically he says that he was engaged twice. So again, you'd have to question, like, if Ashley has these such high standards, why it hasn't worked out with any of the women that he's been with, especially as he's been engaged twice. So there must be something that he's lacking, that these relationships have faltered, but he is not going to see the problem within himself, because at the end of the day, he's there thinking that this one woman that he has to be perfect, as in perfect from his perception, and nobody's perfect at the end of the day. So he's basically saying that he is ready for marriage. I do question that, given that he's had 2 failed engagements. And basically he says that he can make it work. So he says that he's always been a protector. So he's a guy that will hold a door open and lift a woman over a puddle. I think a little bit he's romanticizing the situation, and I think he's kind of seeking a damsel in distress. There ain't nothing wrong with being a gentleman and being gentlemanly, but most women nowadays don't need a knight in shining armour, to be honest with you, and that's what he's got to look out for. So the experts are talking amongst themselves about the picks that they've made, and all I'm going to say is that what a person asks for to what they get doesn't always meet up. And this is how you see the backlash and the negative experiences straight away. Because once they're paired up, then it's up to those individuals to try and make this marriage work. I do believe that some of these people that I've seen so far on this show are proper surface level, or to a point that they would do anything to keep a marriage and a relationship going, even though it becomes very, very, very toxic. I do think that they put too much stock in these people, as they can only go by the matches at the end of the day. What these people are saying when they apply to the show, and then when they have conversations with them, but their behaviours are something else, and these behaviours don't come out either on the day of the wedding or after they've got married. So now we have, as I said, Grace and Ashley. So then we see Nellie, who's a lovely Indian girl, very lovely. She wants a guy from when she first dates them to be completely obsessed with her. Let's put it this way, as I've always said throughout all of these, obsession takes you to a place that you never thought a person would ever go, but they do. So when people sometimes say they want a person to be obsessed over them, I get a little bit nervy. I really, really do. So yeah, Nellie is a girl who will definitely be hard work. She likes the princess treatment at the end of the day. That's how she comes across. She talks about how her mum and dad had met through an arranged marriage, and that's why she wants it to work for her. She has a sister who she sees as being in the perfect marriage with her husband and their twin girls, who are her nieces, who she loves for dear life. And she believes that her sister has become that perfect Indian daughter that her parents actually wanted. But for Nellie, it hasn't happened for her yet. I would say all in good time, my love. All in good time. She says that she's been in 3 relationships in total, and all of them ended with these men cheating on her. I would say that takes an emotional toll on any person at the end of the day, to the point of emptiness, because 3 whole relationships that you've poured yourself into, and each time they've cheated, Nellie will be questioning, well, does the problem lie with me? When it doesn't lie with her, it lies with them fuckers who couldn't keep the fucking zipper up on the rotted pants, do you know what I mean? And disrespected her and disrespected their relationship. So Nellie's going to go into this with a lot of mistrust on her part, in terms of ensuring that her negativity in regards to relationship and how she's been treated and how she's experienced relationships in the past won't affect her husband and the expectations that she then puts on him as well. So as she says, she felt insecure, and basically she said that when that happened to her, it changed her confidence, and she began to reflect inward on what she did wrong. And again, she did nothing wrong for them to do what they did. They just couldn't control their urges at the end of the day. So she has a negative view on relationships in generally, and she's constantly thinks that this is the way her relationships will end. Again, I say, before applying to these shows, that when people have been through traumatic experiences like this, they should consider therapy. They really should, to be able to heal themselves from the experience that they've been in. Because at the end of the day, it would support Nellie to literally bolster herself and regain her confidence in this area. As the person cheating is a flaw in them, not in her at the end of the day, and that's what she's got to look at. Because any of her behaviours, in terms of how she behaves within that marriage with her husband, is literally going to play out in terms of the mistrust, in terms of seeking to know probably where he is at certain times, in terms of feeling that she is needed or wanted. So her neediness will come to the forefront. So she says she doesn't want to be hurt again, basically. So I think this is how she then controls the situations, which ain't healthy. She says that she is extremely needy. Now, you see, for me, neediness kind of turns me off, to be honest. I was like, I hope she don't get paired with Stephen then, because when he went into the stag do, he hated neediness. So then we get to meet Nellie's match. And then lo and behold, it's Stephen. I was like, oh shit, this may not be a good match, because that man definitely said that he did not like neediness, and Nelly is at the height of neediness at this moment in time, right? So he's an investment banker and he's been in finance, as he says, for the last 13 years. So I was kind of like, okay, is he a finance bro then? Because there are huge stereotypes with people in being in finance. But I'm going to err on the side of caution and just see what Stephen brings in at the end of the day. So he talks about the fact that he was a professional football player, and it did come to an end when he was attacked outside of a nightclub by 9 men. And then they actually do show the pictures like of him in hospital. His whole nose got shattered. He had to have it reconstructed, and a lot of other things that had happened to him as well. And I was just like, the main thing is as well, going through that traumatic experience, is that he is alive to tell the tale. He talks about how it did destroy his confidence and that he was in a rut for 3 whole years. So when he went through this trauma, he specifically turned around and lent on his family for support. He's definitely a family orientated person. He has 2 children, 1 girl and 1 boy, and this young lad has autism and sensory disorder, so he cannot speak at all, as Stephen was saying. And I'm just like, it's all the men coming in with children this year. Like, this is a turn up for the books, but it's also the expectation that the person that you go with as well, hopefully, is not going to see an issue with them having children. Because it's the same with me. It's the same with me when it comes to women, and the same with me when it comes to men, especially in applying for this show. You're not just marrying that person for yourself. You're literally trying to build something for your children too at the end of the day, because they're not fly-by-nights. Your children are always going to be there. So once you've told this person, it's how they're able to accept that, you know what, you're not just going to have my time to yourself. I do come as a ready-made family, basically. I do think that situation and that scenario is a little bit harder for some, but as I said, we'll see if he tells Nelly and whether she can accept what it is that he's saying. So he's basically saying that he's not expecting anyone to waltz in and play stepmom, but if he wants this marriage, yeah, the person is going to step into that role. It's going to be the expectation that they step into that role at any point, because if it works between him and Nelly, she's going to have to integrate into his life, and also integrate into the life of his family and his children as well. So she is going to become known as stepmom, or at least some parental figure alongside their father at the end of the day. It'd just be how well she copes with that, because children are beautiful, but they are hard work. They are. And then it's also the fact that Stephen does have a child with special needs as well, so it's how she is going to be able to support him in that role too. So you hear the experts speak together again, and it's said, and I'm summarising, that Stephen has a ready-made family, and that Nelly's maternal instincts and love for her own family suggests that this could be her, in terms of her and Stephen working. And I would say no, it's a 50-50 shot in the dark at the end of the day. I don't want to be all good doom and gloom, but someone can have maternal instincts for their own and not want to rear another person's children. So yeah, they can't necessarily pin the full-on match on that at the end of the day. So then we get to Grace and Ashley's wedding, and you can tell that from both of them, of course, the nerves are present. There's lots of apprehension. Grace is talking about how she wants a great personality, and her friend says like she doesn't want someone who is threatened by her greatness. And I'm summarising at this point. So we see Nelly and Stephen's wedding again. You see Nelly getting ready, and of course she's nervous about liking Stephen and he not liking her, and she's very, very worried about how she was treated by her past partners and thinking something is wrong with her. And this is why I say people who have not gone through levels of rebuilding themselves or are healed from those experiences should not be on this show. Like, seriously, should not be. Yeah, Stephen is on You see him on a FaceTime with his daughter, and it was really, really wholesome to watch. Like, he's friends with his children's mother, so then I am wondering how Nelly will take that relationship, given her own apparent insecurities. Will she be able to deal with it and trust him that, you know, nothing's going on there at the end of the day? So we see Ashley say that he's striving for his parents' type of marriage, and I am not going to say it again, people. Because if you watch my first episode, you will know what I'm on about when people try to look at their parents' marriage, their grandparents' marriage, whoever marriage, if they've been together for a long time, and that's what they want to model their own marriage on, because you can't do that. You have to be able to model your own marriage on what you're bringing in terms of how you're going to work through that to be able to communicate good with your wife or husband, to be able to have open and frank discussions when things are not going so great, to be able to be upbeat and positive with them, to be able to integrate them and share within everything that you can do at the end of the day. So yeah, you can't necessarily model it on somebody else's marriage, because you don't know what struggles they've been through to get to the point that they're at. That's what I keep saying. So you see them all going into the area where they're going to get married. Her friends look at Ashley, they say that he's cute, and the one says he's a proper bloke. Whatever that means, I don't know. Okay, so Gracie's already panicking, which is normal, but yet she keeps saying it over and over again. I think I've taken this too far. I think I've taken this too far. I've gone too far with this. And I'm thinking, are we going to have our first runaway bride? Are we going to have our first runaway bride? Because that's how it's coming across from me, because this girl is panicking way too bloody much. I've not seen this type of panic in my life. So when it comes to the first look, it was a bit lukewarm. You could tell Grace was awkward in this situation and uncomfortable, and she was already cracking rotted jokes. And this is what I was talking about at the first bit of this video. It was the kind of jokes that I didn't think were funny, but it was literally kind of odd, the way she was just constantly. I was sitting at the screen like, what the fuck is this? So on first looks and them getting their vows down and stuff like that, Ashley is basically saying that he likes Grace's personality, even though she was firing off jokes like there was no tomorrow. At the end of the day, he says that he does fancy her and he finds her hella attractive, but Grace does not feel that way. So we have another one who has no instant spark at all, but the way in which Grace dealt with it was not very good. Let me just say that. She was poles apart from this man, because seriously, she was like on opposite ends. He was there and she was there. She would not go close to this man at all, and even down to the point, like when they were about to say their vows, or she was going to listen to his vows, her arms were interlocked behind her back, which says a lot in terms of body language. She did not want to be there. She honestly did not want to be there at all. She turns around, she says that she was definitely anxious, didn't want to be in that position, was quite uncomfortable in that position, so it was literally looking like a total train wreck. I was like, even though her friend said, yeah, he's cute and this, that and the other, he ain't Grace's type. He ain't Grace's type at all. And as I said, the problem with this is they don't necessarily inform the men like afterwards that they're having issues, because they're not necessarily attracted to them. Their first thought is to literally flee, and this is what Grace did after they'd done all the vows and stuff like that. Albeit she didn't go in for the kiss. No, she said that the cheek is all right, and even then you could see on her face that she didn't particularly like it, because your body will give you away every single time. But it seems as though, as well, on the flip side, these men can't read the cues that when a woman don't like them. They really can't read the cues. I think Ashley started to get a little bit clued in as time went on that something wasn't particularly right with Grace, but Grace didn't really fully come out and tell this man that she had no spark with him. Let's just put it this way. She literally, straight after, when it was coming to the photographs, she was having a full-on crash out. Like, if I could get a crash out song, I would put it there. She was having a full-on crash out, yeah, saying that she didn't want to do it. When they asked her on camera what was upsetting her, she turned around and she walked away. And you see, this is the problem in coming on these shows and having high expectations, because they're going to get knocked right back down to the motherfucking ground at the end of the day. She's literally crashing out because Ashley is not her type. Ashley is not aesthetically pleasing for her. She hasn't even spoken to this dude really. But she's crashing out because he's not particularly her type. And I'm like, you can't go by looks alone, because at the end of the day, all the situationships that she went in would have been with people of her type. Did it work out for her? Did it honestly work out for her? No. This girl is not looking left, right, sideways, up, down, nothing. She's literally crashing out all over the place. I thought, yeah, it's a wrap on this marriage too. It's a wrap on this marriage too, yeah. I thought at this point, she just needs to walk away. Like, she really needs to walk away, because I kind of felt it for Ashley in that moment, because he was stood there waiting for her, yeah. He didn't even know where the fuck she had gone. She was treating him like a proper pariah, because he stood there like looking around thinking, I don't know what's happening. This dude is very much into her. She's not into him. I don't know if he was going to pick up on that vibe from that point on, like, because if she was into you, my friend, she would have come straight and did the photographs with you. She chose not to. She chose to run off and crash out. Because their expectations are not meeting reality. Because at the end of the day, they're not matching them based on looks, are they? They're matching them based on what they've asked for. And it's like Sarah and now Grace can't seem to compute that in their minds, because the package is not what they want. Anyway, we go to David and Kia's honeymoon. And I just love how these two are gelling with each other. I really, really do. Kia is, as I said, next level hyper. Next level hyper. He's finding Kia's energy a little bit much, but it's not something that he can't deal with, yeah. I just hope that it doesn't get to a point that it starts to wear thin on David, but David is managing to look a little bit deeper as to why Kia acts the way in which he does, and I will get to that. So, we go to Dean and Sarah, back to Dean and Sarah's honeymoon. Dean and Sarah are on the beach swinging on these swings. Dean is like me, yeah. He is definitely like me, because from me to my son to my grandson, we will literally burst out into song. Randomly, we'll burst out into song, we'll hum, we'll do whatever. Yeah, I actually do talk to myself. Like, I talk to myself a lot. And I've actually done it in mixed company. People will tend to look at me, but I continue doing what I'm doing, because it's a habit. It's just a habit that I've formed now, that I literally do talk to myself. Yeah, but I'm like, if this is what Dean is doing, this is what's comfortable for him, this is how he is showing his emotions in that moment, whether it's happy, he's sad, yada yada yada. But she can't even appreciate what she has in this man. She can't even appreciate the fact that, you know what, he may do this for a reason. All she's pissed off about is that it irks her, basically, and she wants to get him to stop. I will say that there's points where Dean could kind of try to read the cues of Sarah, but she also needs to be diplomatic and respectful when she's telling him where she's at, because it's a two-way thing at the end of the day. She needs to listen to what it is that Dean is saying, and Dean needs to listen to what it is that her's saying. But I don't think she should try to seek to change the behaviour of a person that clearly brings him joy. Just because it irks her. I think overall Sarah is just embarrassed by Dean. That's what I really do truly think. And because aesthetically is not what she wanted, I think she will probably be thinking about other people's thoughts, and the fact that they will probably think, oh, she's not downgraded, she's not upgraded, she's downgraded. That's what's coming across to me from this woman. It really is. I'm going to get to it, but there's so much that I could say about Sarah, and I know her friends and her family will probably say, oh well, she's not as she is portrayed on screen and da 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 da. But this is the way she's coming across to the masses, I'm afraid. This is her in a nutshell in terms of little intricacies of her own personality, and how she's treating Dean isn't particularly nice at the end of the day. They end up doing Pilates on the honeymoon. Dean, in my view, was making light-hearted jokes and making little innuendos as part of the joke, but of course Sarah didn't like it. Her whole face, the facial expressions this woman makes, literally makes my palm itch. Like, literally makes my palm itch. Because I'm like, we know you don't like him. We know you're not attracted to him. But you're not even willing to give him a chance. So why are you still there? That's my question. Why is she still there? So poor Dean sees that he and Sarah is thinking that they both have banter and that their energy is amazing. I'm like, mate, please, I implore you to read between the lines, yeah, and get your intuition rolling. I really don't want Dean to get hurt. I really don't, but I fear Sarah is going to hurt him because she doesn't understand him and she doesn't wish to at the end of the day. Dean is ever the optimist. He is there saying that he is going to get through this process. Sarah will fall for him by hook or by crook at the end of the day. When he said, "Don't worry, I've been here before," I was like, and how has that worked out for you, my friend? Like, seriously, how has that worked out for you? You've been in that situation so many times before, and this is what has led you to apply to this show, to be able to find somebody who will love you for you. And right now you are not getting that. So how has it worked out for you before? Not well. Sarah is literally telling Dean like how she went for bad boys and that the situation with them was pretty toxic. And I was like, Dean, this should tell you something about this woman and her ability, or non-ability I should say, to pick good and decent men. She wouldn't know what a good and decent man looked like if it came and slapped her in the face, to be honest with you. For all the guff that she talks about wanting a nice man, she doesn't really. She really doesn't. She doesn't, because I'm sorry, if you're going to go based off looks alone, I'm sorry to the pretty people out there, but majority of them are arseholes. Not all of them, but some of them are arseholes because they think they're God's gift. And that's what she goes for. I do feel it for Dean, because Sarah is not the one. She's not the one for him. He really wants this to work, and she can't even stand his quirks. She can't stand his quirks. So he does tell her about his past in terms of how he'd lost all the weight, but he wasn't happy within himself. And I believe he wasn't happy, in my opinion, because he didn't do that weight loss for himself. It was to make himself be more desirable to women. And he also recognised within that he was a bit of a fuckboy, to be honest, when he lost that weight, and he wasn't very nice to women at all. So Sarah, as she said, she can't compute between those two at all. She cannot compute in the fact that this Dean that she's talking to was a bit of a fuckboy when he lost weight, or wasn't very nice to women when he lost weight, but he was the arsehole that you would have wished for at that point in time in his life. Let's just put it this way. So Dean carried on saying that, you know what, when you're confident and fat, it's cute. And then he went to saying, when you're confident, and then she tried to fill in the gap and said, yeah, if you're a good looking guy. I was like, what? I was like, mate, Dean is a good looking guy. His size doesn't make him ugly. So Dean did tell her, but he said it in a jokey way that, hold on a minute, I am good looking. I thought, yeah, this ain't nice at all. It's so clear she doesn't like Dean. And it's not because he bursts out into songs or raps either. She actually doesn't like the look of him and what he looks like. That's what's coming across clear as day to me. So this girl started to backtrack so quick from the faux pas that she threw out of her mouth when Dean pulled her up on it. But I'm going to say Sarah said the first thing that came into her mind of what she was thinking of. So the sorry that Sarah kept on saying was a sorry that it slipped out. But Dean gave her the out that she needed. He's still not reading into what it is that she's saying and reading past the crap that's coming out of her trap, to be honest with you, and looking at her expressions. It's her facial expressions for me. They always look like she's always disgusted when she's talking to the camera. She can't run away from the faces that she makes. Her the words that she says does not meet her facial expressions. Like, they're two poles apart, where the words that are coming out of her mouth I will not believe, but it's the expression she makes on her face that I will believe. So we go back to Nelly and Stephen's wedding. Nelly looks absolutely gorgeous in her full red Indian traditional wedding dress. She will be using more of her traditions by being carried through on the dolly. I was kind of hoping that there would be music to it as well, because I know some of them do use the drums on their entrance. I was just like, I just hope Stephen's able to accept her culture, because obviously in the application process they're going to ask you like what your preference is in regards to women. So the issue about race is going to come up in terms of who and what do you prefer in that sense. And he must have said he doesn't mind, like, you know, all rounds. So he's got a nice little Asian girl. She's lovely, she really is. So Nelly though continues to be stuck on wanting him to be obsessed with her. If he isn't, she may well take it as a rejection. I don't think that will bode well at the beginning of their marriage at the end of the day, especially if she shows consistent neediness. As if he does not reciprocate in kind, she may well see that as a rejection, where for him it's just like, let's take stock. We don't need to be in each other's pockets all day every day. I don't need to talk to you all day every day, but I am thinking about you. Or I'll drop a text, or if he's busy and she drops a text to him but he's not answered it straight away, but doesn't answer it till a couple of hours later, again, that may be seen as a problem by her, and that's what she will have to be conscious of. So Stephen's brothers do ask him, like, will he tell Nelly that he has children? I think he'll definitely tell her. He will definitely tell her when they have alone time together. That's what I'm saying. But he shouldn't wait more than a day to tell her, because he would need to know what her immediate reaction would be to that news, because that's something she will not be able to hide. And you don't want her to hear it from anybody else. She needs to hear it from his lips, basically. And I agree with his brother that, as he said, the children will always be there. So Nelly will have to accept it or not, especially if she wants to make a marriage work with Stephen. I had a feeling anyway that she would be okay with it, but you know, you never know what's going to happen when it happens. So he says if it comes up, he will tell her. I thought that's poor insight right there, Stephen, at the end of the day, yeah, because you can't wait for the right moment at the end of the day, because guaranteed it will come up in the wedding somewhere, or your friends or somebody else is going to say, oh yeah, Stephen's got 2 kids, and you haven't told her. So then when she goes and has conversations with those people, it can be then brought up. I mean, case in point, in the Married at First Sight Australia with Afrina and that dickhead Adrian, yeah, and it was her mum that was doing the wedding speech and brought up the fact that she had a child, when her sister was making a total tits arse of it, and was pretending not to be able to tell the brother whether she had a child or not, like she didn't know that her twin sister didn't have a child or not. Yeah, those types of situations you need to avoid. So everything for Nelly at the moment hangs on her entrance to the place. I thought, mate, it's your culture at the end of the day. I think Stephen will love it, and sod's law, Stephen loved it. He basically said that he was attracted to her straight across the board, and that she ticks his boxes, and she was attracted to him completely. I do like Nelly and Stephen together, so I'm kind of hoping that they'll be able to make it work. And it weren't no preferable kiss on the cheek after the vows. They kissed at the end of the day. So then we go back to Grace and Ashley's wedding. She's still left Ashley waiting to return for the photographs to be taken. She's still crashing out and keeps saying sorry. I'm like, does it really take that much of a president that you have to be so rude? I mean, yeah, I get it, she didn't find instant attraction, but she can't find a common ground with the man. She's not even looking past why she was paired with Ashley in the first place. Yeah, nah. it was, I told you it was off. She was just giving me off vibes from get-go. Let me just put it this way. So at last, she does come out to do the photographs. She doesn't even say sorry to Ashley for keeping him waiting. You can tell she is not comfortable. But my problem is, like, she doesn't even give the man the heads up as to what is going on with her right now. I thought this is another one that needs to cut bait, snip that shit early at the end of the day, because with some of these women at the moment, I literally don't know what's going on with them. I literally don't know what's going on with them, because you're acting like shitters just because the man ain't your type. So when they were taking the photos, you could tell she was uncomfortable, so she wasn't really going to smile. Now, Ashley did not read into that, so he made the faux pas in Grace's books of telling her to smile because it got her back up. Because, you know, as she's a feminist, you know what the intonates. A man should not be telling a woman to smile when they're not in the mood to smile at the end of the day. And I'm just like, well, what did she expect him the fuck to do? He doesn't know what's the matter with her. She's crashing out internally at the moment. Yes, we can tell she's uncomfortable. Yes, Ashley could have read those cues quite quickly, but he didn't. He's a dude. At the end of the day, they don't look very far sometimes. I'm sorry, men. Past your own nut sacks. Let's just put it that way. When men are in a happy place, they're in a happy place. They don't see far past that, to be honest with you. So all he felt was, I'm attracted to this girl. I really like this girl. I think the experts have got it right. He believes she liked him too, but I don't think he's still not picked up on those elements that she doesn't technically like him. Yeah, so for him to say smile, I don't think it was coming from a bad place as how Grace is trying to portray it. So the photographer then says to them, if you are feeling comfortable, what about a cheeky kiss? You would have thought someone stuck a knife in her back with how she stiffened up more than she already was. Let me tell you, already done said a stick broke off in this girl ass. Yeah, but she went even stiffer, if you could get that way. Like, she again said, I can do the cheek. And then after she did the cheek, like, she told him that she doesn't really do PDA. He was disappointed because he wanted a woman that he would be able to hold hands with, cuddle, kiss, those types of things, and then to be presented with the fact that this woman don't even want to do PDA. I thought, you're full of shit, Grace, because at the end of the day, you would do PDA if it was with a man that was your type and a man that you like the look of. You don't like this man, so you're not going to do that at the end of the day. I told you, there was something about this girl that I didn't like at all. So we are back to David and Kia's honeymoon. They are in the safari enjoying themselves, and then we jumped quickly straight back to the Maldives to Sarah and Dean, and they're out. I have a feeling that Dean is a little bit picking up on Sarah's attitude, because each time he talks, she gives like kind of one word answers with no oomph behind it at all. And all she's showing Dean is she ain't interested in the slightest, but I don't know why she honestly can't tell this man where she stands, instead of watching him literally try to work himself, being someone she would want. Some battles are worth fighting and some aren't, and for Dean, this ain't it. It really ain't it. So she asked Dean if there was anything annoying about her to him, and he said no. Now, this was a very strategic question on Sarah's part, because as a woman does, if they want to be able to introduce a conversation, they're going to start it with a question that likely will then be given back. So then they're able to say what it is they want to say. She wouldn't say it off the bat, so she's lining it up for herself. So to the camera, she's saying she doesn't think she can get past an attraction to Dean, but they are getting on, if you can call it that, at the end of the day. So Sarah starts to, at the table, kind of starts to do with shimmy. So naturally Dean sang shake, 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 which to me is normal, because that's what I do. Because sometimes if someone says a word that is associated with a song, I will start singing that song. That's what I'm like. So it's normal to some people to do that. So she says to the camera after that Dean's outburst of singing and rapping is grating on her, so she wants to address it. This is why I said she asked the question in the way that she asked the question, because it's her roundabout way of addressing the situation. For me, as I said, it ain't that annoying at the end of the day. And then turns around and says, okay, so question back at you, is there anything annoying you find of me? She said yeah, and then after a lot of stuttering and blah 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 blah, she turns around and says it's his songs and his raps. And he basically does explain to her why he does that, because he's a very happy person, and the songs and the raps are used in a way, sometimes he doesn't know when he's doing it, to show what he's feeling at any given time. If he's feeling sad, that's his way of getting it out at the end of the day. So Dean said to the camera, like, you know, she would not be the first or the last person to say this. And of course he tends to find an excuse as to why Sarah would say it's not helping at the end of the day, because he doesn't want to irritate her, but he doesn't believe it's about her wanting to change him. It is about her wanting to change you, mate. It really is. But she needs to tell this dude that she's not attracted to him fully, so he can act accordingly after that. Do you know what I mean? So Sarah says to him, could you tell me your emotions rather than singing it? And Dean says, well, I've never done that before, so he doesn't know. And also at the time she looks like she doesn't really want to listen to Dean anyway, so I don't know how that communication is going to come about, because I'm sorry, she's not building a very safe space or a comfortable space for Dean in which to talk about his emotions. And that's probably why the raps and the songs have been becoming more consistent while he's been on this honeymoon with her, because he's not in a comfortable space, but he's not ready to put a name into it right now. So she said, okay then, let's practice right now. Tell me how you were feeling right now. He said happy, but then in the next breath he wanted to sing. She was like, no, because he was just about to say hallelujah, and he was like, no, at the table. And I said, there you go. He's literally trying to take on board what she's saying to hope it will help with progression. Yeah. But the thing of it is, because it's so ingrained in him to do, there's going to be times that he's literally going to forget. It's part of his personality. It's what a habit is at the end of the day. He's going to do it without realising it. So it's going to be up to her to literally just take it and leave him alone, and then talk to him afterwards if she really wants to, or turn around and say to him, what are you feeling at this point in time? Because you're singing and you're rapping, what's the matter? And get to know him and build that out of him, build a safe space for him to be able to talk about his feelings to her. But no, she just want to take away the one thing that he's actually quite comfortable with doing. So then we go back to David and Kia, and they're still out in safari. So the guide said, the animals are sometimes spooked, so he said it's important you do not get loud or shout at any time. I was like, yeah, Kia, so shh, because this boy is loud. He's very loud, people. Like, he's very do. So they see a sleeping lion, and you could tell Kia wanted to shout out so much, and David had to keep telling him to shush. This man was literally hanging on by a thread how much he wanted to get his voice out. Even his whisper was loud. Let's just put it that way. They are totally feeling each other right now. So they're having a drink at the back of the van. So they then take a discussion to talk about the next steps with their intimacy. And Kia says that he's definitely on board with that. So then David starts to broach the subject a little bit more and wants to get deeper into the conversation with Kia. And then Kia took it to the basement, basically asking David if he wanted to see a rhino's horn or a different type of horn. And we all know what euphemism he was making, but you could see David did not really appreciate it. But David knew that he was using comedy as a way to deflect from deep conversations. So this must have happened a lot through the times that we're not seeing on camera. I'm like, Kia is going to have to learn to let go of the showman at some point. I don't think he's fully healed from the experiences of his marriage and probably what happened with his brother and in terms of his own family life. And that's why he uses like the comedy as a tool to control his emotions, to be able to cope. It's a full-on coping mechanism for him. So, but David is a person who likes to be mentally stimulated. He likes to know his partner and wants to have those deep conversations with Kia. He wants to get to know him beyond the physical attraction and any intimacy that they may have. So it does slip back to what Kia's mum said to David about Kia, like, he will open up, but it will take him some time. He finds it very hard because everyone expects Kia to perform. So David may have to be a little bit more patient with him, but to show him that, you know what, I'm not here to hurt you. And in time, he'll hopefully let go with him. So David does broach it with him and say straight out, like, you do use comedy a lot in order to deflect away from serious conversations. And he allows for Kia to take a step back and reflect in terms of what he said, and then gets him to discuss his feelings, and it works. It absolutely works for them. I think Kia is starting to realise that David truly does wish to know who he is, and that's without judgment, like literally without judgment. I know they're going to get to some rough patches, but it's how they're going to be able to work through those rough patches as a team to make themselves stronger at the end of all of this, especially if they would want to stay together. So we're back to another ill-fated wedding, Grace and Ashley's wedding. You can see Ashley at the top table and Grace is at the top table. He's really happy and Grace is miserable as fuck. I'm sorry, but Grace is giving off shallow. She's giving off shallowness because she's literally fixing her fucking face and throwing her dummy out of the pram because this man is not her type. There is no instant connection and it's literally throwing her for a wobble. Let me just put it this way. So Ashley asked her directly, like, am I what you asked for? This girl lied to his face. She said, yeah, well, you know, it's early days. She was not convincing at all. Not convincing at all. So Ashley asked her, like, what did you ask for? And I was like, well, Ashley, that is the $1 million question, is it not? I thought, let's see if Grace actually tells Ashley the truth. So she said she asked for someone charismatic, charming, etc. And then Ashley just jumps into the conversation, doesn't give her time to finish, and says, like, you know, well, my dad's is old school. So our friend was like, when you say old school, in what way? And all I was thinking is, Ashley, if you are going to go down that path with this woman, please don't say it. Please don't say what I think you're going to say with a full-on feminist sitting next to you, because it will not bode well. But no, Ashley said it. He was raised into thinking that men are the breadwinners. I was like, damn. Because I was kind of thinking, Ashley, even if you was raised that way, did you not at least think out of that one-dimensional box? Do you know what I mean? And this is when he described what he wanted. He wanted a damsel in distress. This was why. I was like, Grace didn't like you before. She definitely don't like you now. Let's just put it that way. So Grace asked him, why is it you have to feel that the man is the breadwinner? Fuck. I mean, he must have got it from her tone and from the looks Grace and her friend gave each other that, you know what, answer this with caution. No, Ashley replied, old school morals. I was like, Ashley, what are you doing? Like, seriously, Grace is not feeling you already, but you just made it 10 times worse. They are so far apart. And the experts really should have taken into account the personal feelings of these two, to be honest with you, because Grace is a full-on feminist, yeah, and with views like Ashley's, they would not have worked at all. Even if she did find him attractive, it still would not have worked because of the certain things that he does say, which can come off rather fucking sexist. Do you know what I mean? And very piss poor and very back in the dark ages at the end of the day is what I'm saying. So yeah, they should have looked into that a little bit more. So then we go to Nelly and Stephen's wedding, and I thought, thank God, because Ashley and Grace's wedding was so intense, it was not enjoyable to watch at all, because it was a car crash waiting to happen. So they seem confident, they're getting on okay. not running out of things to say. You can tell that there are nerves, and Nelly, I think, is coming off as very, very confident and being a little bit flirty, but you can see that there's nerves behind that as well. They do start to talk about family and how close Stephen is to his, and I'm like, okay, you're going to take this opportunity to tell her about your children, especially before they get into reception, because someone is going to bring it up, and you better hope that they don't blindside her with it at the end of the day. So no, he didn't tell her that at that point. So then we had to go back to Grace and Ashley's wedding. So Grace's friends, two of her friends, Hannah and I can't remember what the other girl's name is, decide to speak to Ashley. I don't know what it is about Grace and her friends, but there's something off about them, and they do give me living Get Out vibes. I ain't gonna lie, that's all I'm gonna say. So he does have some issues around her saying that she is not affectionate in the way that he would like her to be. Now, I don't mind holding hands. I don't mind a quick peck like on the lips when you're out and stuff, but when it comes to fully fledged PDA, that ain't for me. Not in public, it really is not for me at the end of the day. Yeah. So this man said he was brought up with old school morals, so he feels it's his job, a man's job, to turn a woman around. Like, what in the actual fuck was that, Ashley? Like, what was that? What does that even fucking mean? Turn the woman around for what? So he's saying it's his job to make the effort. I was like, nah mate, you literally had to tack that on because you saw how her friends were looking at the end of the day. And the fact that Grace's friend Hannah repeated the words back to you slowly, he knew he had to pull something out of his ass to soften the blow of what he just said. Yes, Grace was rude and continues to be rude in the way she's so standoffish but won't really speak to him. But wow, these two should not have been matched. That's all I'm thinking. These two should not have been matched at all. So Grace's friends tell Ashley, I think it's more of a word of warning. That's what I'm believing, in my opinion, that Grace is big on them pulling, like people pulling their own weight within a relationship and being equal. So she's not really a woman that wants a man to take over, is what they were saying to Ashley. I'm hoping he took it into his cerebral cortex, but we shall see. Ashley does talk about Hannah to the camera and how she grilled him, but it was nice that she was passionate about her friend Grace. And I'm like, but did you take it on board? That is the question I'm asking, my guy. Did you take it on board? As Grace ain't going to be the little lady that you think she's going to be at the end of the day. So Anna asked him directly, would you describe yourself as a feminist? This man said, without no pause, no hesitation, no. 100% no. I thought at least he was honest in that, but at that point I was like, check please. We are done here, as his views will not align with Grace's in any way, shape or form. And now Ashley is trying to backtrack, but it ain't working. I don't think Ashley can come away from what he said in trying. He's building a big hole for himself. He just needed to be forthright in what he said and deal with it. All this flapping ain't gonna look good. It's making him look like a little bit of a lion, looking decisive at the end of the day to try and, lower the levels of anxiousness of her friends at the end of the day. This man said, I am not looking for a washerwoman. I was like, Ashley, please stop talking. Please stop talking now and forever hold your motherfucking peace, because what are you doing? So Hannah said, I don't think being an old school gent goes head to head or hand to hand or whatever you want to say with someone who believes in equal partnership and equal power. I thought, oh my God, Ashley's going to double down even more. Please get into your head what it is that they're saying right about now. He does say, I would never see myself as anything other than equal to Grace. So he managed, just by that one rotted sentence, in her friends' minds, to pull it back. As Hannah said, well, that would make you a feminist. I thought, my girl, have you listened to the fuck shit that this man was saying throughout that conversation, and you go from one sentence to say that he'd be a feminist? They just want it to work for Grace so bloody bad. They really, really do. God. So then we go back to Nelly and Stephen. Nelly's friends are at the table with Stephen's sister and brother, and they asked the question, does Stephen have any children? His sister literally starts to cough, and his brother is quiet and looks away. I mean, their whole body language gave that shit away. Their whole body language said yeah, but we're not really wanting to say anything. His sister did turn around and said, you know what, yes, Stephen has 2 children. And I thought, mate, I told you to tell your women before it got back to her, because it won't be nice hearing it from others, as they will naturally assume that Nelly already knows when she doesn't. But I don't think anyone should deny that they have children. At the end of the day, they shouldn't deny it. I don't think Stephen is, but I think he's afraid to tell her for whatever reaction he may get. But if it's a bad reaction, at least he knows that this ain't gonna work. The marriage would not work at the end of the day. So you see, Nelly is sitting there at the top table asking Stephen's older brother, this is across Stephen, you know, so he's listening to the conversation, like, do you have any children? So his older brother said, I've got 2 boys. Stephen is eerily quiet, very, very quiet at this time. And his brother continued that his other brother Pete has 2 boys and a girl, and the other brother Paul has 2 boys. Jordan doesn't have any children. And I was like, Stephen, are you going to step in? Are you going to step in? And it was very telling that his brother then stopped right there after all of that and didn't bring Stephen into it. And I thought, Nelly, did you not read that cue right there? He didn't even say whether Stephen had children or not, and Stephen didn't say nothing. He could have took the opportunity there and say, well, I've got 2 kids. But I think what he was waiting for was for them to be on their own, for him to be able to say that just between them 2 to see what her reaction would be. So you see Stephen leave the top table with Nelly and her friends and go with his brother to sit down with his brother and sister, and they did confirm to him that they did drop the child bomb at the end of the day. So I'm like, it's going to come out either way, so you need to bloody well go and pull your bride, go have that chat with her, because Nelly's having a chat and talking about how she did turn around and speak about the families, and her 2 friends who knew that Stephen had 2 children literally sat there quietly. They did not mention it at all, because they were like, well, it's got to come from him, not from them at the end of the day. So then we go back to Grace and Ashley's wedding. Ashley is really liking her, and Grace tells her friends about the wobble that she had, and now she's having a moan because Ashley told her to smile. But I'm just kind of like, mate, I don't think it was meant in any type of malice, but I think anything that this man does is going to piss Grace off anyway. She just wants to find wrong in him. Even her friends started to big him up, talked about the conversation that they had around the feminism shit and this, that and the other, and saying it's very nuanced. But Grace didn't want to hear it. She didn't want to hear it. This woman already wanted to cut and run at the end of the day. I mean, do they not watch the seasons past? Like, seriously? Do they not watch the seasons past? Because some of these people are really not fit to be on this show, and I'm sorry, but Grace is one of them. Even when her friends said to her, like, to try to offer reassurance when she started to cry, one even says, let me hug you, and then she was like that, and she was like, oh no, you don't like to be touched. I told you, it's screaming get out vibes. It really is. This is not going to bode well for these 2. Really not going to bode well for these 2. So you see David and Kia, and they're having dinner together, and Kia is basically going to tell David about why he uses humour to deflect. So he talks about the fact that the family have come from a military background because his mother was in the military, and that's how they dealt with their trauma. They made jokes and made hard things like hearted, which isn't a bad coping mechanism, but if you have deep-seated trauma or you use it to hide from deeper conversations, then a person may run into issues at the end of the day. So he talks about his brother in the fact that his brother lived until he was 9, just turning 10, and then he said at the same time as losing his brother, his parents were divorcing too. So to deflect from that situation happening for him, he went to humour. That was his coping mechanism, and it stayed with him. And David, I love him. He's literally so understanding and so accepting, and he's happy for that connection that he's had with Kia, and I just hope it remains with them, as I've said before. So then we get to Sarah and Dean. So Dean says he will take on board what Sarah said about his raps being annoying as they continue to get to know each other. This girl, as I've already said, is going to hurt this man. No 2 ways about it. Dean is so set on having this dream marriage with a woman who loves him, but it's not that for Sarah at all. So Sarah said she wants to work on the marriage and try to see what happens. and that's it there. It shouldn't even be a try. It should just be, and I will see what happens. But she ain't even going to try. She ain't even going to do that because she don't want to. She said she doesn't want to put pressure on anything and wants to take each day as it comes. Dean talks about the fact that, you know, he's a slow burner as well. And for Sarah, though, she said it depends, as she would move quite quickly. And I was like, oh, this girl is telling on herself right now. Dean better have them ears pricked up and be listening to what the fuck she's saying right now. Because she went on to say, when she has gone with previous partners, there probably has been that attraction there. So indirectly, she's letting Dean know that there is no attraction there for her towards him. She did say that, you know, they don't have that initial spark. So what Sarah is saying is, if Dean were her type, she would have had his clothes off on the first night. That's what she would have said. That's what she's saying. She said that if she feels the spark, she is all in. And I thought, yeah, you would have had his pants around his ankles if he was your type. Seriously. So yeah, Sarah ain't slick. I think Dean at this stage, as they're having a conversation, is realising that his wife don't like him. It's the fact that she always laughs when she's talking to the camera, and then she turns around and she says, oh, sorry, Dean. And I'm just like, what is wrong with the women in this season? Like, seriously, Sarah is not making any clear sense right now. So Dean asked her what her first initial reaction was to him. She says, like, you know, well, you weren't what I was expecting looks wise. She still didn't fully answer the question. What she thought was hesitation. I understood you don't want to hurt a person, but Dean deserves to know the truth that she don't like him at all, so he has a baseline to start from, and he can like act accordingly throughout the rest of this program if they continue to stay on it. Dean asked her, have you ever been with a bigger person? Sarah said no. And it's at this point now that Dean has now picked up what Sarah is putting down, which has left him feeling very deflated, because she ain't even given a peek through that she may like him as time goes on. There's no light at the end of the tunnel here. None at all. So he asked her, have you ever been friends with someone that's turned into a romantic relationship? She said no. I was like, ticket please, we are done, it's time to go. Dean is worried that he's starting to feel rejected, and now he feels that him and Sarah are just friends. She says that she can't get past a non-attraction. She said it ain't friend at first sight, which is right. She wants to meet the love of her life. And I was like, but Dean could be that for you, but it's not in the packaging that you like, which is shallow of her, to be honest with you. As with Grace, again, these two have no business being in these marriages at all. So Sarah said to the cameras, I have to be honest, I envisioned something completely different. I ain't gonna say one word on that, but we all can read between the lines in what it is that she's exactly saying about Dean. And the face that she makes was one of hella disgust. Lets me know exactly what she means. Again, shallow as fuck, because it literally is, I believe, about his weight. So we go back to Nellie and Stephen's wedding. So they're just having a quick chat together, and Nellie said, like, he can be honest with her. So the time comes, he told her that he is a dad of 2 children, and Nellie was really chill about it, to be honest. And I was like, Nellie, I love you. I do like her. She tells him about her inner self-saboteur, and she's getting him to understand that she is aware of it, and she doesn't want to put her walls up with him. She wants to be able to explore a connection with him, and they do have a good chance, and they are showing good signs in possibly having a good relationship stroke marriage. And that is where that long-winded, because this is a very long video, people, that is where that episode ended, and I'll be back in quick succession with the next episode. And as I always say, my people, those that are coming in and my renegades that continue to rock with me, please hit that subscribe button, please hit that notification button, so when I'm doing videos, please comment, like, share, and do the good things that you do, because I continue to be on the road to 1k. Peace out.